can identify the series of leading cities. The first one was Venice. After decline of Venice, the next leading city was Antwerp. This was a meeting place with Portuguese trader and a German trader which organized a distribution of Oriental spices in Europe. The second one, Antwerp. The third one was Genoa. Genoa was in the second half, at the turn of 16th and 17th century, the most important financial center of global economy. And the Genoese trader organized an intercontinental trade between New World, Americas, and Europe. And the next one, the fourth leading city was Amsterdam. In the last lecture we start the presentation why became Amsterdam a global city, a leading city of global economy. And I spoke about physical condition and the background, the historical background of Netherlands. In the last occasion I asked who visited in Netherlands or Amsterdam. Okay, you have anyway some information about it, but I will show a short movies about landscape of the Netherlands and the special peculiarities of local Dutch cities. Okay, but look at the problem of natural condition and the physical geographical condition. In the last occasion I spoke about it was a low country. Low country means a plain area, but not only plain area, but large area. If we calculate recon in the case of Netherlands, 1/3 of the area under the sea level. It's artificial construction. In this case, local agriculture wasn't able to produce a staple foods for local people. Therefore, had to find some solution for importing of staple foods and compensation somehow the low fertility of soil. One of the most successful form of the compensation was a fishery. The contemporaries, Denis Diderot, probably you know his name, he was the editor of French encyclopedia. It was the greatest performance of 18th century, the century of enlightenment. He wrote about the Netherlands, United Provinces are Egypt of Europe. Why? Because interwoven a huge number of rivers and the water flows. Other general English opinion, which wrote down English pamphleteer at the beginning of 17th century, the North Sea is the Academy of Mariners, Pilots of the Dutch rebirth. Therefore, the Netherlands we can describe an ocean or sea-oriented country. Sea-oriented country, no other option. And the fishery, a good compensation of very bad fertility of soil. A Dutch fishing industry, who visited in Amsterdam? People, you are visited. And you tasted fish foods, fast food, fish fast food in Amsterdam, you know? Okay, but very interesting, a fish in the Dutch cooking, not a restaurant cooking. It's fast food. If somebody walking on the street, there are a lot of small shops, and like McDonald's in a global brand. In Netherlands, a fish, and this is a fast food. You can buy a sandwich of fish and walk around, and very general. If somebody, I work in the Dutch Academy, it's quite general. Nobody go to the restaurant for dinner, for lunch, sorry, not for dinner, for lunch, but only buy one sandwich. And the main meal is the dinner. On the daytime, it's a normal behavior, buying only one fish sandwich. Okay, look at the fishing industry. The first one, around coastal area, inshore, inland waterways, most dedicated small fishes. The second one, herring industry. You know which is the herring? A herring, it's named a great fishery. Later I will speak why. And the next one, cod fishery, Doggerbank area and the Iceland area, and the whale fishery. You know, it's a sea mammals. A whale fishery, it's the little fishery. It's a contradictory argumentation. Okay, look at the herring. A herring. In the history of the Netherlands, herring played a crucial role. A crucial role. This is the period of late ice age. It's a climate change, a climate deterioration. And very interesting, majority of Europe, a climate deterioration, a cooling, decreased the productivity of agriculture. Why? Because the cultivated area shortened. For example, limit of vegetation moved down in the mountain area, and the vegetation period similarly shortened. Therefore, on the time of Little Ice Age, started in the 14th century and closed at the beginning of 20th century, the carrying capacity of agriculture in Europe decreased. But very interesting, each crisis produced winners. Winners, and the Dutch people became the winners of and there was a stick. Somebody know? There is a disappear, but I use this one. You can see in the normal situation there is ideal area for herring. On the Middle Ages, the herring lived in the Norwegian Sea, in the northern part of the Northern Sea. Okay, and in consequence of cooling, in consequence of Little Ice Age, herrings moved down, moved to the southern part of the Northern Sea. Therefore, the fisher boats and the fisher vessels of the Netherlands became very successful, and the productivity of the herring fishery became unbelievable. It's a factory-like production. 1,500 fishing vessels participated in the fishing, 12,000 fishermen, and each year salted and smoked 50 to 100 tons of herring. Therefore, the contemporaries named a herring the Dutch gold mine, and the century of herring started in the middle of 16th century and closed in the middle of 17th century. Not by chance, the famous act of navigation which made in England, it's wrote about a prohibition of fishing of Dutch vessels on English area, English part of the Northern Sea. Look at the fleet of the Netherlands. Fleet of the Netherlands, 6,000 ships with 600,000 tons. Why so important? Because if we are looking how many great vessels, great ships constructed in Europe and sail on the sea of European area, it's 12,000. Each European nation, French, Spain, Spaniards, and English and Dutch, and each nation which made fleet, the general European fleet contained 12,000 vessels, and half of that, 6,000 vessels, sailed under Dutch flag. Why so important? Because international trade based mainly to Dutch fleet. This is the basis, this is the pillar of Dutch domination in the international trade. Half of European fleet sailed under Dutch flag. Huge number of sailors. Why so important? Because these 48,000 sailors, it's well-trained sailor. It's huge fortune of the Dutch Republic. Control raw material of shipbuilding, timber and tar from Baltic area, former time I spoke about. Century of herring, in the best years produce 100 tons per year. And the most important place of the shipbuilding, Amsterdam, very near to Amsterdam. And probably you know there is a Russian student in the audience recently. Russian? No Russian? Okay, but very important, even Peter the Great, the Tsar who launched the modernization of Russia, traveled to Amsterdam, and he learned carpenter profession, carpenter making, carpenter works, and received a license of shipbuilder in Amsterdam. So famous place was in the 17th and 18th century. And of course, if somebody visiting the Netherlands, there is a very important using second-hand made products, of course, had a second-hand ships market. Very interesting, the whale hunting, you know, the ship mammals. And very important, somebody know why so important the whale hunting? Huge body of the whale. And before the modern lighting system, the most important raw material of lighting, the grass of whale. Why? Because not so bad smell. In luxury lighting, before the electrical service, whale grass. Okay, and my second question, if we are looking at Europe, the most important whale hunter were Dutch people. But which nation, which European nation was the second one? No, Finland. Finland didn't exist in that time because divided by Russian and Sweden.
Norway.
Sir?
Norway.
Norway not?
United Kingdom. Britain.
No, Britain?
Sweden.
No? Basque. You know the Basque. It's a northern part of Spain, Basque. Around the Bilbao, you know. It's northern part of, it's a very famous minority, because a Basque, you know, everybody know which is the Basque. Basque language, Basque nation, Basque. Around the Bilbao, northern part. And very interesting, Basque is a unique language. No relatives, never. Because Hungarians think quite a general that we are alone. It's not true. Majority of our language relatives living in Siberia. Not the best place, but we had relatives. In the Basque and the Basque language, no relatives. It's unique. It's unique. And no information about the evolution of the Basque language. And very interesting, a Basque sailor, beside the Dutch sailor, specialized to the whale hunting. A lot of innovation invented by Basque. And you can follow how dangerous the whale hunting, because some years in the 18th century, one year killed a little bit less than 2,500 whale. It's very dangerous for the whale population. Okay, but very interesting, the fly boats. Dutch fly boats, it was the most famous construction. Why? Because very easy navigate with these Dutch vessels, first one, and second one, much smaller number the crew of the sailor, cheaper, it's a cheaper construction. It's very interesting because the age of great discoveries change, it's possible, I told you, change the strategy of the using of cannons, because in the late Middle Ages, the most important strategy of the cannoneers, it's destroying the mast of the ship. It's not so easy because it's moving the position of warcraft, and no good position. It's a clear firing to the mast. And very interesting, the greatest innovation, which introduced by English sailor, the much better strategy. This is the water level, firing to the body of the vessels a little bit under the water level, because in the good shooting case it's sinking down. It's much better, but it was a consequence of innovation and evolution. Okay, look at the urban network of the 16th century. As we saw in the Middle Ages, two areas concentrate, and even recently, urban area, Low Country, including the London, and northern part of Italy. Very interesting. Look at the 21st century urban network, urban structure. These are the most important, even now, concentration of urban area. Okay, if we are looking Low Country, very important that Low Country and the area of the Low Country are proportion of urban population much higher than 20th century. Probably you remember in traditional European society, obligatory 80 to 20%. Why? Because the carrying capacity of wheat and the traditional agriculture not able carry more than 20% independent from the primary production. But in the case of Low Country, in the case of the Netherlands, importing staple foods from Baltic area. If we are looking at a trajectory of population, we can follow that total urban population increased continuously in the 16th and 17th century, and five largest cities increased, Amsterdam increased, so and so. And very important, it's possible, I told to you, a traditional city not able to recover itself. Therefore, if there is urban population, the source of all urban population grow, immigration. Therefore, this trajectory verified, Low Country and the Netherlands was target area of immigration. Highest population density of Europe, around 50% per square kilometer, and half of the population, Dutch population, lived towns and cities. Dutch cities together form a power block. Leading city, of course, was Amsterdam. Very interesting. Who visited in Amsterdam? Visited other cities or only Amsterdam? Only Amsterdam. You visited in Amsterdam or other cities?
Only Amsterdam.
Only Amsterdam. Yeah, but I suggest to you visit other ways. Why? Because population of Amsterdam, a closed area of Amsterdam, 500,000, whole of Amsterdam, 1 million. But in Netherlands, there is seven cities which larger 100,000. Therefore, it's a very dense structure of urban area, urban network, but very small country. A division of labor, industrial centers appear very early, Leiden, Haarlem, Delft, commercial center, Dordrecht, fishery and Hausen and Rotterdam, and the political capital, Hague. It's very interesting, if you open a geographical guidebook, you can identify one capital Amsterdam, other one capital Hague, and the capital Hague and Amsterdam too. It's very interesting. Why? Because Hague, official place of capital function with the government and with the parliament, but the real activity, political and economic activity, focuses to Amsterdam. Very interesting. I've worked quite a long time in the Netherlands and Switzerland. And very interesting, for example, in Switzerland, nobody overdrive a speed limit. And if somebody speeds so fast in Switzerland, other driver show to him this gesture. Somebody know what I mean? Only the poor people hurry. It's very interesting, contradictory argumentation. And if somebody hurry in Switzerland, this is a shame. This is a shame. Therefore, no hurting of speed limit in the highway of Switzerland. If somebody it's very difficult to understand, but this gesture means only the poor people speed so fast. As I mentioned, my favorite city and the favorite country is the Netherlands. If I hope never, but if I have to emigrate, my first in my list is the Netherlands. Partly because it's a plain area. Because I socialized in the Hungarian plain area, and when I worked in the Switzerland, one of my psychological problem was I felt I am closed place, because the horizon wasn't closed. And I accustomed in the Hungarian plain that I can see everywhere. It's open. Okay, but turn back to the story, Netherlands. If we are looking at history of the Netherlands was born in the last decade of the 16th century. Historically, Netherlands was a part of Habsburg Empire. It's quite typical in the feudal and the traditional area, one empire scattered in different regions. This is the Habsburg Empire in the 16th century. The main area, Spain, but connect to the Habsburg Empire, Sicily, southern part of Italy, Burgundy, and the Low Country, and some part of the northern Africa, and the colonial part, other side of the Atlantic Ocean. It's quite a normal situation. And Low Country was the favorite country of former Habsburg Emperor, Charles V. Therefore, the level of taxing in the Low Country was quite moderate. And when the new emperor, Philip II, occupied the throne, analyzed the structure of the taxing and arose the level of taxing in Low Country. And for a lot of social and political reasons, launched political rumor in Low Country. Sensibility for taxing is quite typical in the traditional age. Somebody know why launched American Independent War? Why? You know the story that English state, the mother country of the American colonies, would like to ask taxes. Because in the American colony, no taxing. And the English governor would like to introduce the custom of taxing. And therefore launch a political rumor, and later the independence war, which close to the independent status of American colonies. The situation quite similar. This is the one reason. And the second reason, which is the most influential religion in Low Country. Somebody know? Calvinism, a Reformed church, a Calvinism. Very interesting that the proportion of Calvinists in Low Country, no more, only 20%. 20%. It's a minority. But the political life of the Golden Age dominated a 20% minorities. Each important political actor came from this Calvinist minority. A little bit same situation which happened in the United States. Somebody know this term, WASB. It's possible I spoke about it. WASB, somebody know? In American political culture. White, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. How many proportion of American population white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant? 20%. But each American president, except 2.5, came from this minority. White, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. Who are exception? Who weren't white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant in the list of American presidents? Obama. But Obama is a border case because his mother, white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. Therefore, Obama learned in school of white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant social circle. The second one, JFK, Kennedy, because he was Catholic, Irish immigrant, a Catholic immigrant, and Biden, who is Catholic. But from George Washington until Trump, each American president, except these persons, white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. The situation a little bit similar. This minority direct the life of the Low Country. And the Calvinism was a source of conflict. Why? Because this is the age of Reformation and Counter-Reformation. And the Calvinist minority, it's upheaval, it's a rebel against the Calvinist, Catholic country of Spain. If we are looking at Low Country had 17 provinces. And from 17 provinces, revolted 7. Holland, Zeeland, Utrecht, Gelderland, Overijssel, Friesland, and Groningen. These are the rebellious counties. Okay, look at the story. And Philip II, king and emperor, king of Spain and emperor of Holy Roman Empire, sent his general to Low Country for destroy the local runner. His name Don Fernando Álvarez de Toledo y Pimentel, a shorter one, 3rd Duke of Alva. On his tombstone there is a unique sentence: never lost battle. Never lost battle. He, look at his face, a cruel and hard soldier and officer. Arrived and tried to negotiate somehow the local political leader, Count Egmont and Count Horn. You can see the date of birth is different, but the date and the year of death are the same. Why? Because a leader of Dutch nobility, Alba, Duke Alba, invited to Hague and sentenced to death. And this persecution of Duke truncated the Dutch society. Here. Truncated the Dutch society. You know which is the truncation? The normal construction of traditional society we can destroy with help of pyramid. And in consequence of persecution and murdering of nobility truncated the nobility. And in consequence of a truncated situation, a Dutch population lost the natural leader of society. But two reactions possible in this situation. The first one, it's capitulation, but other one, other social class replace the function of the nobility, which happened in Low Country. It's a new leader of the Dutch society, the regent class, the bourgeoisie, the citizens of the Dutch population. It's very important because the Dutch example was the key problem of long and early this debate about the origin of capitalism. How was born the capitalism in Europe? Because if we are looking the feudal structure, which were the most important values of feudalism, the braveness and the prestige and so and the luxury consummation. We are looking the capitalism, which are the most important values, the rational decision and the productivity and saving and increase the benefit and so and so. No overlapping between values of feudalism and values of capitalism. Two options possible. Werner Zombart, a Dutch German urban historian, tried to describe the origin of capitalism. And his debater was Maximilian Karl Emil Weber, the short version, Max Weber, very important and crucial person of European history of sciences, discussed the same problem. Solution of Werner Zombart was a capitalism founded by foreign people, aliens. It's not Nazism, not source of the Nazism. This is an intellectual debate. Why so important this hypothesis? Because according to Werner Zombart, the values, local feudal values, didn't control foreign people who arrived from other value system, other countries, and wasn't and weren't member local communities not under control of feudal value system, like Jews, like Armenians, like Muslims in European context. But a winner of this debate was Max Weber with his famous study about the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. According to conclusion of Max Weber, the origin of European capitalism was the truncation of Dutch society. Why? Became a great massacre of Duke Alba, annulated the nobility, and the bourgeoisie became the leader and the value maker of the Dutch population. And the Dutch Republic became so successful in the following decades that became an example of other European nations. Okay, look at the story. There's some slides about the Dutch Revolution and the long Dutch independence war. It's named 80 Years' War. The most important strategy of Dutch army was the fortification of the boundaries and construct a lot of fortification. In the technology, on the time of the technology of movable cannons, no chance for saving a siege, against the siege of forts, but increased the expense of the military campaign. And this was the most important strategy of the Dutch army, increased the expense of the war for the Spanish army. How changed the Low Country, boundary of the Low Country, and on the time, on the independence war became two parts, a low country northern part became United Provinces, the Netherlands, and the southern part became a Spanish Low Country, recently named Belgium. Okay, majority of battle on the sea won by Dutch fleet, but majority of continental military operation won by Spanish army. Some picture about the siege of ports. Okay, but look at the situation. How was able to win a long independence war by Dutch army? One of the key factor of successful independence war that the Dutch trader had a direct entrance to the Baltic trade. Started with the fish and salt trade to the Baltic area in the 15th century. Charles V, it's possible you remember, Charles V was born in Low Country, and his language, his maternal language was a Flemish. Therefore, emotional connection was so strong to this area, and organized for political manner a free passage on the Sound. This is a strait to the Baltic area from the Danish king. To the second half of the 16th century, Dutch trader and the Dutch sailor monopolized the most important Baltic trade, grain and naval store. And finally, the Flemish trader carried the majority, 90% of the goods exchanged between Iberian Peninsula and North Atlantic area. Very interesting. Look at the situation. This is a war between Spain and the Netherlands. But the Dutch trader transport the majority of goods to Spain. Unbelievable situation. Because there is a war between these countries, but under the war level, very intensive commercial operation. Look at the consequences. Grain, naval store, salt, oil, wine, above zero. Function the situation like a complementary enemies. In Spain, there is a Spanish student, Spaniard, in the audience. No Spanish? Yeah, but very interesting and very important to realize how we can describe a Spanish identity. Because if we are looking at Spain, even though no complete Spanish identity. Because if somebody interested for the football, there is a Catalonia, and there is a famous mention of Johan Cruyff. He is a Dutch trainer and football player. Barcelona, FC Barcelona is an army of Catalonia. Catalonia independent. And look at the Basque area. Basque area, Basque identity is very important, separate from the Spain. And very important rule of organizing Bilbao, FC Bilbao, Atletico Bilbao. It's a football team. In the Atletico Bilbao, no Spanish player. Only Basque and foreigner. It's declaration of independence. And look at, for example, Basque Catalonia and a lot of local identity. No Spanish identity, even though, not by chance, so important Catalonian independence movement. Most important glue of Spanish identity was Catholicism. Fierceful Catholicism, because on the long history of reconquest Iberian Peninsula against the Muslim countries, motivated by Catholicism. But for aggressive Catholicism, necessarily create enemies. Day by day, year by year. The first enemies for aggressive Catholicism were Moriscos. Somebody know which are the Moriscos? A Muslim peasant survived and left, settled down on the Muslim period and settled down after the reconquest. Persecuted the Muslims. This was the first. And later persecuted by Jews. Therefore, no real Spanish identity in the early modern time. Why so dangerous persecuting the people? Because the best agriculture made by Muslim peasants. And after the persecution of Muslim peasants, devastated large area. Spanish agriculture, after the persecution of Muslims, not able to produce enough stable foods. Therefore, had to import the Baltic trade, Baltic grain, Baltic cereals, Baltic rye and wheat, which transported by Dutch trader. If we are looking as how distributed the silver, the American silver, imported by Spanish vessels, it's a golden fleet and a silver fleet, you can follow the distribution. The highest amount from the American silver had to pay the Netherlands. Therefore, I hope you can follow me, now or later in the looking of video. Spain and the Spanish emperor financed the independence war against him. Unbelievable situation. Because Spanish agriculture wasn't able to produce enough stable foods for local consumption. Therefore, in the highest level, had a war between Netherlands and Spain, but under the war and the military operation, a Dutch trader transporting the staple foods, mainly cereals, to Spain. For that transport, paid huge amount of money to Netherlands. It's a contradictory situation, but good demonstration fighting against great economic power, no chance for victory. No chance for victory. It's a very interesting situation. I don't want to actualize, but a little bit same situation in the case of Ukrainian war. Fighting against the great economic power in long term, not short term, because the Spanish army won a lot of battle. But finally, it's called it to the losing of this military operation. Okay, look at one. Okay, this is the last one. Not by chance, I spoke about this immigration in the former lecture, but today this is the last slide. Not by chance, the Netherlands became shelter for refugees. The first one, Jews from Iberian Peninsula, and the second one, citizen of Antwerp. It's a former leading city of European and global economy. Huguenots, French Calvinists, and finally Germans. It's the name of Holland Gangers. It's a guest worker, the typical guest worker of Netherlands was the Germans. Therefore, it's possible, I told you, very bad relation, national relation had and have recently between the Germans and the Dutch people, hate each other, frankly.